welcome back to Snap Academy. Here we have another episode for you guys. My name is Sterling.
And I'm your co-host, AJ, once again broadcasting live multiverse-wide, aka Snap Daddy. Sterling, and how's it going, brother? How you doing today?
And today's a good day. It's a day off, a day to play some Snap and kind of get into this new season with Black Panther. AJ, you want to tell us what Black Panther does?
Yeah, well, before I get to that, I wanna ask you, are you gonna go see the movie? Are you a movie goer?
I am definitely going to see the movie. I haven't decided if I'm going tonight or tomorrow, but just so our listeners know, there will be absolutely no spoilers from us on the Snap Academy Facebook page, and also, we're both moderators of the Facebook page, the big official, well, not necessarily official, but the big, Marvel group. We will not tolerate spoilers, so just to throw that out to everybody. So, AJ, are you?
That's right. I am going to see it. However, I am an at-home movie watcher for a few reasons. First off, I love popcorn, okay? Popcorn's one of my favorite things, especially AMC, not sponsored, movie theater popcorn, where you get to put your own butter on it, right?
Right.
However, I am a savage, ravenous eater, and I cannot control myself. So what happens, inevitably, every time I eat popcorn, I get it stuck in my throat. And then I got to get the water pick out. And then I'm blasting at my tonsils and blasting the back of my throat to get these little shells out of there. So I don't eat popcorn. Also, I'm just well, long story short, I like to wait till the joints come out on the streams. I waited to watch Endgame until it came out on Netflix. So I am definitely going to wait to watch Black Panther. Besides, I'm behind. I still need to watch Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel to get caught up.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a bit of catching up to do, huh? So.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we'll get into it. Now, you got to forgive me because I don't have the card in front of me, so I'm doing it from memory. It is 5 costs, 4 power, correct?
That is correct.
Yes, and on reveal, double Black Panther's power.
Yeah,
so that can be pretty sweet.
Yeah, he kind of matches up with a lot of the, first, if you're not pumping him at all, he's only 8 power then for 5. That is not, the best stats out there.
Right.
White Tiger basically is 8 power, but she's putting 7 into another location. So, but
which sometimes can be better.
Oh yeah, splitting that up a little bit, knowing hey, White Tiger goes into a location you're losing anyways. He's only 1 power, but the thing that's great about Black Panther is that his ability scales pretty well if you can pump him or find ways to really get multiple uses out of doubling his on reveal effect, because that is an on reveal ability that he has. So the first card that a lot of people will look at, and I know a lot of people play, and I still play it right now with what I've been testing, is Odin. You get the second trigger of him. So
right, and it's at turn 6 usually, so it's possible if someone's not playing strategically, they might not see that coming, as opposed to trying to play him with Wong, where on reveal abilities happen an additional time at that location. That's a little more of a telegraphed move.
Right. And I think right now also, the deck is very telegraphed because also because of the featured location that's out right now. AJ, do you have that in front of you? I believe it's called Shuri's Lab.
Yeah, Shuri's Lab. When you play a card here, double its power. So that works perfectly with Black Panther.
Black Panther's basically getting 2 on reveal effects there. So he's going to go from 4 to 8 to 16 if you drop him in Shuri's Lab. So, I mentioned Odin, another one to think about is Wong, of course. Because if you play Wong on 4 and then play Black Panther into Wong's location, it's doubling. And then, of course, you end it with Odin, and you get a really, really big Black Panther, right?
Right. So I'll tell you what, though. I recently, I'm a free to play player for anybody who is a new listener. But and Sterling, you buy the uh, monthly pass if it's something that entices you, right?
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, I've only skipped the one, and I said that Nick Fury wasn't really, and he still doesn't excite me. But the more and more I play this game, I think just investing $10 in this company in this game, and as a way of saying thank you is just kind of something I want to do anyways. Because
Yeah.
I spend a lot more time playing this game now. My free time has opened up a little bit, and I'm pushing a little bit more time than I was able to during the beta, which like I've said before, was only maybe 1 to 2 hours a day. With 10-15 minute games here and there, which is what's great about this game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's part of the addictiveness of it. I'll play one more, and all of a sudden it goes from 9:15 to 9:30 to 9:45, and then it's 10:15 before you know it, and then you're going to bed at 11:45, and then the kid's waking you up at 5:30 in the morning. So yeah, I feel you. So me being a free to play player, I just unlocked Wave, so that's a great accomplishment for me. A Wave being, what was that, the first, or that was the first season pass, right?
Yeah, that was the very first one, and that's where where people did at the time also question whether this was free to play to win, and we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll actually have a discussion about that, but that was kind of a meta defining card back early in the beta there, but you didn't have it and you didn't get it till now. How's your gameplay been? Did you really miss it, or is this now just one of those like, oh, sweet, I got this card, I can finally build some decks and have some fun with it?
It is definitely awesome. I need Electro as well, because it's about the ramp deck and playing out playing like 4-6 drops in your deck. So I was really loving that, right? But where I'm going with all this, it's circling back to Sherry's Lab. I just recently unlocked Cerebro. Okay, so I know that you've been a Cerebro proponent, and I've been playing the 3-power Cerebro deck, and that just happens to include Scarlet Witch, Rhino, and Magic.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
when I see Sherry's Lab as a Cerebro player, you know where I'm going. I'm changing that location as soon as I can, because one, it totally screwed deck plan, and two, I don't want opponent shenanigans, because a lot of people are building decks. You play something like Red Skull, you're getting 30 power out of this thing. But like it's really one of those locations that if you build your deck around it, you can really get the most out of it. So I have been enjoying playing the location hate aspect, and turning Shuri's Lab off, because I'm afraid of those shenanigans.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's just the strategy people need to understand during these featured and hot location days, is that you either play to the best of that location or you play the counter. And Scarlet Witch and her bunch are always a great counter to any kind of locations that you hate. Um, but then I know Shang-Chi is also really a good card right now, because if people are looking to, like you say, drop like Red Skull and just these big beefy boys, well, drop Shang-Chi and he's happy.
Right. And hey, I think I have him in my he is in the Cerebro deck as well, because he's 3 power. So representing for the 3s there.
Yes, for sure. So
yeah, I like Shuri's Lab. It's a fun location. It's never a bummer when it comes out. It's easily you can play around it easily.
Yeah, I think it's on par with like Nidavellir. That there's just going to be big beefy stats there. So, people are going to play, like I said, the Shang-Chi's. You can also play your armors there to kind of counter that. Make sure your big beef sticks stay around. So I think it's a fun location. I think it's a great addition. It works well with what we're seeing from Black Panther and that kind of crew that beefs up the stats as it is. So I have nothing against it. I think it's fun.
Absolutely. The other one that I've seen, and we were talking about this a little bit in the pre-show. So there are four new, it seems like there's four new locations every season. I've also experienced Warrior Falls. After each turn, give a card in. Wait, hold on. That's not right. That's not it at all. I was
Yeah,
reading this thing and like, that's not it. Uh, so it's after each turn, cards here. I'm looking at this I'm looking at this thing online. I'm starting to read it. I'm like, man, that's not it at all. So I'm doing this. So I'm doing this from memory right now. Then, so it's at the end of each turn. The cards here fight in all caps, which means that you destroy the weakest ones. Weakest meaning whatever has the lowest power among them all. Sterling, can you give us a little more information on what we think is going on with these seasons? And
so
yeah,
I've read some other posts in other places that this location wasn't actually supposed to be out yet. There's still kind of seems like some bugs with it. Uh, but there's always bugs with locations and new things added to the game. But also from just what we experienced from the last season, it feels like the featured locations are going to be these new locations that kind of match up with what the season is. So we had last season, Bar Sinister, Oscorp Tower, and Daily Bugle, to name a few of those, and they were all featured locations. So I think next week, the next featured location is going to be one of these kind of revealed locations.
right. And the other two are vibranium mines in the throne room, right?
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
really know what those things do because I'm looking at an unofficial source here, and I I haven't seen those in the game yet, so I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
haven't seen them either, and yeah, I don't really want to give out, any kind of information to our listeners that we don't know is, for sure. And like you said, that was an unofficial, place that you were looking. But I know that, yeah, they have been spoiled. I think that might be in the video. I didn't watch it this time because I know Luke's bar was in one of the videos, and we didn't see that till later on. So, um, but
Right.
I just look forward to yeah, that's a great thing that they should be doing each season if they're not. But I'm pretty sure this is what they're doing is that, we get four new locations a month. Each week we get a new location that's featured. We get to experience what it does for a couple days, and then it's really thrown into the mix with all the locations.
I love it. It makes the game so robust, and it makes like the future of the game, I think, really bright and really diverse. A lot of different things going on in the future of Marvel Snap.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, AJ, you mentioned you're a free to play player, so you did not purchase the season pass, and you don't have Black Panther. Have you been facing a lot of Black Panthers though, and how do you feel about the card, as an opponent against it?
So I haven't, because unfortunately I wasn't able to push high enough to stay at level 50 last month. So it dropped me because I would finish at like 47 last month. So
Oh,
I think I'm at like level 20 something right now. So I can't think, I don't think I've faced anyone with Black Panther yet. But I can imagine going up against it, and it definitely, Cosmo would be a great counter to it, because anyone who's trying to like get uh, an extra effect out of an on reveal card is probably going to be playing other on reveal cards as well. So Cosmo is always a good one to keep in mind. And that's one of the great things about Snap is that these counters, they're always going to be available to anyone who puts in just the smallest amount of time to this game. Shang-Chi also, if someone's doing super high powered, I've seen in the Facebook group some posts with some super high powered Black Panthers. Shang-Chi makes short work of that. So there's a lot of easy ways to counter it. And it's, we were mentioning Wave earlier, Wave being the first one kind of testing the boundaries. These cards, they're not even on the same level.
Yeah, no, and that's the great thing about this game is that though both of those cards, if we look at Wave and Black Panther, they are very powerful cards, but they go in such different styles. That's the thing, and um, Black Panther. It, you don't really play him with Wave because Wave you're looking to drop like multiple big six drops. But Black Panther is something where you really want to try and abuse him, or you're just looking at 8 power. But
Right.
yeah,
And you might as well play Jessica Jones at that point.
right, yeah. And Jessica, she's one cheaper as far as energy goes, but she as long as you don't play something in the same spot as her, she's going to be 8 power. So you can play your 5 drop then someplace else. Um, But the thing
Right.
I've been experienced as a Black Panther player, because I wanted to test him out. I bought, the season pass, and I've been playing him exclusively and been trying multiple decks with him. A lot of the decks are very predictable, though. It kind of
Okay.
really telegraphs exactly what you're planning to do. Sometimes you can, kind of get cheeky with it, but it seems like, especially the decks I've seen and some of what I've played, which is what made me, tweak some of the things I'm doing. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, Wong and Odin are very popular. And, if you play Wong, I've already told people before Black Panther came out, if Wong's getting played and you don't have a Cosmo, uh, there's going to be some weird shenanigans happening. And sure enough, a lot of the times Black Panther gets played into the Wong lane. So that's your turn 4 and 5. And then obviously you want to do something again in that same lane, whether it be your White Tiger or Odin, or my favorite play is Arnim Zola, because
Ooh.
with that high roll, it's a 50-50 chance. But if Artem Zola nails Wong first, he's going to put Wong in the other 2 lanes, and then Black Panther's going to come down, and he's already been doubled up twice by Wong. So now he's going to go from 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64. So that pretty much seals 2 lanes. Not too many decks push that much power out, but again, it is very, very predictable. You can see it coming for 3 turns.
Right. And really, I think we mentioned this in previous episodes that if, like you were alluding to, if you see Wong and you don't have a Cosmo or a way to stop what's going on, you probably should just concede that match, escape with hopefully just losing 1 cube.
Yeah, and honestly, there is quite a few counters to it. There's a lot of things you can be playing. Enchantress is a great follow up to a Wong because Wong is ongoing. So Enchantress
Mm-hmm.
strips that. Granted, I play out my Black Panther there still. I'm still probably going to be winning that location, but you've definitely taken away the potency of what can happen. Um, I've also seen Arrow and Magneto being, big plays that can really disrupt, what people are doing with Wong and with Black Panther. Because if you can move their stuff, you have to have priority though. Um,
Right.
but if you can move their stuff and disrupt that combo from happening, then you have a very high chance of winning.
So here's something I kind of want to touch on, and it's like because the Arnim Zola, Wong, Black Panther, that's just a ton of things happening, and I kind of feel that the best decks out there are not the fair decks, if you know what I mean. Like you
And
have to be doing crazy broken stuff to be at the very top.
yeah, and I feel that's kind of how it is for almost all TCG, CCG type games, mobile card games. If you are playing fair, you are going to lose more often than not. I always look to play the most unfair decks and combos out there. Um, and I say that with like, the healthy mindset of having a fairly balanced set, which I think Marvel Snap is doing a really well job at. But there are some really crazy things that you can do that if you're not used to seeing them, haven't seen them before, if they catch you off guard kind of thing, or maybe your deck's just not prepped for them, they can feel very, very unfair. But as we've mentioned before, they're the best counters in this game are in pool two. So new players have pretty quick access to how to defeat and handle some of these crazy combos that are happening in pool three.
Right, and it's not the flashiest thing to run a deck with Cosmo, Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Armor, these kind of things, but it gets the job done. And we've talked about this before, that if you can find a weird way to beat these meta decks, you can get under them for sure. But playing something in the middle, like, okay, so I've just recently unlocked Thor. And Thor's super fun. He's a 3 cost, 4 power. On reveal, you put Mjolnir in your deck. It's a 0/0 card. And on reveal, it gives Thor +6 power. So I've been playing Thor, and I've got Jane Foster, because Jane Foster, she pulls all 0-cost cards out of your deck. So I've been playing Thor, play Jane Foster, and I got Wong maybe, or Odin, and I'm making Thor like 16 power maybe, but that's not anything good. That's not a good deck. I just stopped playing it. And even Cerebro, that deck is almost too fair, but except for the fact that it gives you access to something like Cosmo, or but it's really hard, I think, to try. And I even like something like Death Wave. I feel like that deck can be just too fair. You're just playing a 12 power card. Like, who cares? That's whatever. Unless you're playing Venom and copying him and Arnim Zoling him.
The way to make Death Wave unfair, though, is to throw in Moon Girl. Now you're playing multiple 12 power cards, whereas your opponent only gets one of their big plays. So but again, I don't think not like necessarily into the realm of unfair being unbalanced.
Right. No. I don't mean that. I mean just like hyper combo-y, like
right.
Out of control. I mean like fair, unfair from like a TCG standpoint, like fair being like, I'm playing cards and I'm going to outwit you, and I'm going to play cards and do it in the correct order and beat you that way.
One energy a turn, and this is what I'm going to do, instead of like, oh yeah, I'm going to put out 15 power in this one turn where you can only put out 3.
Right, like how the Mr. Negative deck was before it got nerfed. You're playing Devil Dinosaurs, you're playing Ronan the Accusers, you're running all these 0-cost things out there, and it just feels like you're playing a totally different game.
Yeah.
So this kind of brings me to the next question. The next thing that I wanted to think about was, what do you think is the best card in Marvel Snap? Right now, we're here right at the start of the Black Panther Wakanda Forever season. I used to think Iron Man was just the best card, because I also want to reset something that we had talked about previously. I asked you a question in one of the previous episodes, like, will we always see Onslaught and Iron Man creating these ridiculous powers in the midst? And something that got me thinking was, I've seen people consider how cool it would be to try and make this game into like a paper TCG. And I think by having so many crazy calculations, that keeps the game digital. That makes it really, leaning into those digital aspects, make it so that the game can't be ported to paper, that you need the interface to do the heavy lifting, because that's what the game's all about. So I used to think that Iron Man was the best card in the game, because you get him he's one of the first cards you have, right? He's in pool 1. Is this correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And he always can produce an unfair, I'm putting up air quotes right here while I'm sitting here, an unfair amount of power, even without Onslaught. You're getting into powers like if I'm playing Marvel Snap and I'm putting up 19, 20, 23 power, I can't say for sure that that's going to win a lane. I want to have 40 power. I want to have 60 power, and Iron Man facilitates that. So that's kind of the reason why I always thought that.
Nope, I think we might have lost you. AJ?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, you're back.
Oh man, so here's the thing. I'm doing it on my phone because I had tried doing it on my computer previously, and pardon the listeners, or rather listeners, pardon me. In the past few episodes, I've had like some kind of garbly connection, and I think that's because I was using my computer. Now I'm on my phone, and the stupid thing keeps timing out. So I got to change that for next time. Okay. So here I'm holding my phone now. I'm looking at it and I'm touching it to let it know that I care.
Yeah.
So my bad.
To let our listeners know, we are not professionals here. We are doing this for fun, and there are going to be some user errors happening from time to time.
Yeah. Also, to be fair, I will mention I just had double hernia surgery, so I am laying here reclined on my couch, and amazingly not in pain right now. So that's good. So anyway, long story short, after my experience playing the game, I think America Chavez is the best card in the game because she makes every deck you put her into more consistent, and you don't even have to play her. Am I wrong?
I am gonna disagree with you, and unfortunately or fortunately, I guess it depends on how you want to look at this, but I will not be able to give you a card to rebuttal as the best card in the game because I feel they have done well enough that it's hard to look at these cards in a vacuum because some cards are much, much better when they're paired with one or two or even three other cards. They just get really good. Kazar is a good example. Him by himself, he's not the greatest power. He's not, he's an okay card, but you add a bunch of one drops. Now he's a really good card. But then if we also have things like Killmonger in, the mix, is he that good? Do you want to play a deck like that? So cards, calling the best card, I've never enjoyed doing that. It's really hard to do because it depends on the deck you're playing and the meta you're facing. And that everybody's meta is going to be different. And that's what I like about this game because you're facing people that don't have quite the same collection as you. I know, us beta players do have full collections, but I'm still it's still kind of the same. Like I'm still facing people that I'm getting stomped by pool 1 and pool 2 decks depending on what I'm playing. So it's really hard for me to say there is a best card in the game.
Right, and I'll agree with you. They have done a really great job of making it so that there's a lot of synergy, and not very many cards are just by themselves great. And even something like Iron Man by himself does nothing. So
yeah, exactly.
But I guess the reason why I liked him so much is because he's so available, and all you need to work with him is power. So he works with anybody. My thought, I almost feel like America Chavez is just too unique of an effect.
See,
yeah.
I think she is great for these earlier pools and people getting into the game and learning how the game plays and these certain effects and stuff. She's an amazing 6-drop early in those pool 1 and pool 2 days, because 9 power is nothing to scoff at. You know you're always going to have that 9 power on turn 6. It is a great drop. But once you start getting into, we had this discussion about fair play. I think America Chavez is just a very fair 6 drop when you got these other crazy combos and cards that can do so much more than what she can. Yeah. Yes, guaranteed to have her. Yes, she helps you draw into, your other stuff. But if you're, like I said, it's just 9 power into 1 lane, and that's so outclassed in a lot of the pool 3/6 drops.
Sure. So hear me out though. Okay. I don't even have to play her. Now, I feel like there's the only deck that plays all their cards is the discard deck. Do you ever play all of your cards in your hand?
Oh no, definitely not.
Okay.
The only time I ever did not even discard, I think Kazar can potentially, depending on how you build it, you can play out your entire hand on, turn 6.
Okay. So Kazar might be something. I feel like there's certain decks that can't use America Chavez because they want to play out their hands, or they want to have nothing left in their hand at the end of the game. I'm trying to sell you on my idea of America Chavez being the best card in the game. Now, think about this. You put her in any deck, you don't even have to play her. She's just in there. And let me ask you this. If you are going to snap on turn 3 or 4, right, are you hoping that on turn 6 you draw something that helps you win the game, or do you already have that in your hand?
See that now we're going a little bit more back into, my answers are always going to be like, depends on the deck that I'll play, because if I am snapping on turn 3 or 4, I already have exactly what I need. I don't care what I draw. I know I'm winning with this. I never snap if I'm hoping something happens or something comes up
on turn 6. So your turn 6 draw might as well be dead. It doesn't even matter. So this is what I'm saying. Doesn't America Chavez just make every deck better by increasing the chances that, not every deck, because there are decks that don't want to have something, that they want to draw something on turn 6. They want to play their entire deck. But for a lot of decks, doesn't her ability to increase your chances of having your combo pieces in your hand?
See,
what deck isn't that? That's powerful.
I'm not a math person, but I have seen people do the figure out the percentage or whatever, and actually America Chavez makes it less likely for you to draw any specific card before her.
Really?
All America Chavez actually does as a card is guarantee you 9 power on turn 6.
See, I'm thinking that it makes it so that you have 11 cards in your deck for 5 turns.
In a sense, it does, but like I said, it's great for those earlier ones, because, you can't, in Pool 2, I think the only stats that actually beat America Chavez on turn 6 is Hulk, right?
Right.
Things correctly. So if you think about that, and the cards that are really available in Pool 1 and Pool 2, yes, I would play the crap out of America Chavez if that is all I'm looking at for my collection, because guaranteeing that 9 power in that 1 lane is awesome. Also, just, like you said, you are technically playing with 11 cards, so you're going to draw everything but her. If you're playing the same deck and you add Hulk to it and you draw Hulk on turn 3, he's kind of a dead card. You don't need him then. You can't play him yet. You want to play all your other cards. You get where I'm going with that? Because, I think, like I said, she is just outclassed, and the percentages aren't like a huge difference. I think it's like 94% versus 95% that you're going to draw whatever. So it's not a huge difference whether you have America Chavez or not in your deck. I think it's a good card if all you're looking to do is guarantee that 9 power.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So she does give you a little bit of a better chance, but because the game is all about retreating and and snapping, you're probably better off just rolling with the punches and stuffing some more early playables in there than trying to play an 11 card deck.
Right, right. And I think, like I said, I think it's good for the newer players. You're getting used to building decks in Marvel Snap. She's a great card. She's kind of like, training wheels and like, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to throw down 9 power on turn 6. This is going to help me, win this lane, because I'm already winning this other lane. It's a great card. But then as soon as you get into some of the more crazier, unfair combo interactions, she's not something you really want to be drawing on turn 6. I want,
Right.
and even the decks. You mentioned how you just got Wave and you're looking for Electro because you want to play those decks that play 4 different 6 drops. Those are the kind of decks I love playing too, and not just because you can potentially play multiple 6 drops, but just because that gives you multiple paths to victory. So if I'm playing something like Arnim Zola, Destroyer, Infinite, and Leader, I have a lot of options as to which direction I want to take the end game.
Right, right. And now, for someone who just kind of started playing that, because I also have Psylocke, so I take a stab at it. I feel like that playing the Giganto, Magneto, Destroyer, like playing all these crazy 6 drops, I still feel like that's a pretty fair strategy. It's broken stuff. It's just you're ramping these things out, but I feel like it's still just you're just playing fair Marvel Snap.
Yeah, and I think that's what's good about this game though, is that there's not too many times that I feel I'm playing against anything that's necessarily unfair. Because
Sure.
again, this is coming from somebody that does have a full, complete collection. I feel if I'm facing off against a bunch of things in my meta that is just destroying the deck I'm playing, then I'm going to switch over to a different deck. I know a lot of people don't have that kind of grace or whatever. They're really stuck with only 1 or 2 decks because they haven't gotten deep into pool 3. But there's
Right.
still ways of you just kind of have to tweak your deck to face off what to shore up those weaknesses that you're facing. So
yeah, I see what you, and I guess if you ever find yourself encountering something unfair, you might have let the game go a little too long. Your opponent's just filling every location with the 7 power tigers. Maybe maybe you messed up.
yeah, they're triggering Ironheart 64 times. Kind of
Right, exactly. Like you shouldn't even let the game get to that point.
Yes, and that's a thing where I just don't know if players are just not caring about ranks and cubes, which kind of takes, I think, a little bit away from what the game, is about. Granted, I don't really care about my rank either, but I do care about, that cube management. So I guess in a sense, I do care about my rank. But I've seen numerous times where players, like, I just don't understand their play style, I guess, because they'll only be winning 1 location going into turn 6, and they play 1 card at the 1 location they were already winning.
Yeah, it's like, how often does that win the game for you? It just doesn't seem.
Multiple things in the other locations. If all you're doing is adding more stats to the 1 location you're winning, that's not winning you the game.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that I really had a hard time wrapping my head around, and maybe that's with the influx of new players. That's I feel like that's got to be a common thing, realizing that the game isn't just about winning or losing and playing every game till the end of turn 6. It's supposed to be about climbing the ladder and gambling with the cubes and knowing the game state, knowing the game, and understanding that when you're going into turn 5 and your opponent is winning 2 out of 3 locations, your odds aren't, they're not in your favor. And I don't care about my rank either, but we're here. I want to get to infinite. That's the point of the game for me.
Yep.
I want to get to the highest level possible, and therefore be playing against the best competition possible. So I think I'll be very interested to see what the new game modes bring, because I think that there's a lot they can Marvel Snap, and who knows, maybe they'll introduce another game mode that'll be even better than the current ladder system.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely intrigued to see what the future brings for this game. Um, so yeah, I would kind of wrap up that whole best cards, topic that we're known for going off on tangents and kind of not sticking to our topic, but uh, like I said, I don't necessarily think there's a best card, but I do have my pet cards. They're cards that have done well for me that I try to squeeze them into a deck if it feels like it should go into a deck. And right now, last season was Destroyer. I was really loving Destroyer. The season before that, I mentioned Cerebro. I'm kind of on this leader game plan right now. And what leader does, he's a 6-drop. 6 energy, 4 power, but he will copy whatever your opponent's cards are to that location. So if they played in a different location, they copy it exactly wherever your opponent played. So you get those cards, and he is just so much fun. I really, really enjoy seeing what potentially happens. A lot of times you are set up to he's kind of an auto win. Very few scenarios where if you play leader and you're already winning at least one location, you can't lose.
Right, because you're basically and as long as you don't have too much stuff on the board, of course, your deck building is going to be trying to facilitate leader, but because sometimes people can go off and play a whole bunch of stuff, and you're playing leader, you're getting that stuff too, as long as you have space. But even with the higher cost stuff, someone plays whatever amount of power, you're also getting that amount of power. So it kind of like keeps you in the lead, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's where I love it. As long as you, like I said, going into 6, if you are winning one location and you're tied at another location, you are guaranteed space available, guaranteed to win it. Because if they try and win any location, you already are going to get their cards and get exactly what they get, plus whatever you already have there, plus your leader.
It's interesting because leader's just obviously the name of the character from the comics. But they made his mechanic, like I said, to keep you in the lead. If you're in the lead, leader is going to keep you there. And man, it is frustrating to play against. You're like, all right, I got this. I'm going to play Thor and then Mjolnir. And I'm going to copy that. And you're like, yeah, me too, man.
Exactly. I love it. Like, especially when they skip turn 5 and you're like, oh, you're going to play Infinite. Yeah. Thanks for the
Yes. Yep. Or like the Khazar decks where, they're waiting to drop all their 1-drops or whatever. You're just filling up your board with stuff. That actually, now that I think about it, if you don't have the star yourself, that might not work out the same for you.
That is one of the very few times that leader has not won it for me, because I played against the Khazar deck where they played nothing, and then they played Khazar, played Blue Marvel, and then played all of their 1-drops on turn 6. And I was thinking, okay, I have this with leader. No, because I got most of their 1-drops, not all of it, because again, location, space. but then he pumped up all of his stuff with his Blue Marvel and Kazar, and I wasn't able to, outpower him then. So there are
Right.
a few times that leader isn't, the greatest play, but back to just knowing the cards and knowing what you could potentially face. If I'm playing like a destruction deck, I probably don't want to play leader on turn 6 because they might play, a Venom or a Carnage or even a Destroyer is not something I want to see if I'm not already prepared for it.
True, true. Yeah, and by turn 6 you'll know what you're facing anyway. So I mean, it's like you said, there's no real clear best card. There's definitely tiers, right? We should do a tier list one of these days.
See, and I'm not. I mean, we
You don't
can do
like
it.
them?
We can do it. We can. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of tier lists, just because again, you got to look at cards. Some cards are great by themselves. Some cards are better when you add more synergy to them. They're not good on their own, but they're good with, a couple other cards. So it's just really hard, I think, to make an actual true tier list when it comes to games like this. Uh, you can, point out cards that are definitely better in the so-called meta, decks that you're facing off against. Um, but I don't even think that the sure stats and stuff, and some sites will point out decks that have been winning multiple times and doing well, so they call them tier 1 and meta decks. But
I saw that. I don't. As far as decks, I don't know. I don't know about that.
no, it's hard to say because of course certain cards and certain decks are going to see higher win rates when the beta players and possible YouTubers and stuff who are spending 8 hours a day playing, Marvel Snap. It's gonna. I don't know. It's hard to say that there is a meta deck right now. There's just so many things that I'm facing, and granted, yes, I'm not sitting at Infinite or anything like that, and I'm not playing 8 hours a day. I've probably kicked it up to on my weekends I get to play 3 to 4 hours a day, but even that isn't putting in a ton of time, and I still face off against a variety of decks. I'll face off against pool 1 decks, pool 2 decks, decks that just don't have anything from pool 3. And I'm still like, okay, sometimes I get kind of tripped up, or sometimes I have to retreat, knowing that like, okay, you're playing Kazar and I don't have my Killmonger and I'm not outpowering you yet. I gotta leave.
Right, right. I think if we were to do like a tier list, we talked about this. I think we talked about it on the pre-show. Maybe not. I don't know. Our conversations can be very wide ranging. I think we could do like a tier list at the certain cost. So like 6 drops, 5 drops, 4, because you can't really compare like wave to mag or
No, but
something like that.
even then, I think we could just kind of go through at some point some of the cards and kind of rate them. I think that might be better instead of doing a tier list. I guess that's kind of the same thing, but just rate each individual card based off of what we think goes well with them and kind of have that discussion.
That sounds fun. That sounds like very many episodes.
Yeah, it probably will be. We can start a series of that, so something to look forward to. But I know we are getting close to our hour mark. A lot of the times we do go over an hour, but I think AJ, unless you have anything you want to talk about as your pet card or to finish up that topic there, do you have anything more to say?
Oh no, I just wanted to try and validate my thoughts of America Chavez being the best card in the game, but we'll just say that's my pet card.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. And so, okay, so to wrap up this episode, though, I do want to give a shout out to one of our listeners who did reach out to us and had, a couple questions for us that we will discuss here. So, Mark Plowman, if you are listening, we do appreciate hearing from you. And we do appreciate hearing from all of our listeners. So if anybody does have questions or something that they would like to hear us discuss, go ahead and reach out to us on the Facebook groups. We're in there where we do have our Snap Academy page, and AJ does interact with the comments on YouTube. So multiple ways to
Yeah.
get a hold of us. But Mark, to answer your question, your question was, do you think there is a correct time to play into an unrevealed location? Um, yes,
Good
I do.
question.
There is a correct time. For the most part, though, I would say it's not a good idea to play into unrevealed locations. There is a lot of just bad locations that you don't want to play into early, you know. But there are definitely some scenarios I feel that you can safely into, or at least take that risk of playing into an unrevealed location. AJ, what's some scenarios that you think are a good time?
Okay, so check this out. Imagine you are playing in a hot location day, or a featured location day, and that location screws up your deck every time, or or you just hate it. You don't want to see it. If you've got Scarlet Witch on turn 2 and the third location hasn't been revealed yet, now I feel like it's like you have the same. I don't think it's the same, because a Scarlet Witch is just a random location. I think if the location is featured, you've got a higher chance of it being revealed as one of the 3 locations for the game. So if I'm, like, for example, I'm playing Cerebro, and I know that one of the featured locations is going to screw up my deck, and the third location hasn't been revealed yet. I got Scarlet Witch. I might take the chance, and just throw down the Scarlet Witch ahead and take my chances that Luke's bar shows up and I screw myself. But it's a way to try and eliminate the chance of an annoying featured location showing up when you don't want it to.
Yeah, and I think just in general, if you have things like Scarlet Witch or Storm or Magic or any of those cards that changes location, I think it is safer for you to play into those unrevealed locations. Yes, something like Space Throne is still going to kind of screw you over, but if it's like Necrosha, and it's -3 power, and you placed your you know 1 power dude there and you're losing big time, you can always then later on change the location. So that I think is a good time that you can at least take the risk of playing into unrevealed locations. Another card that if you have is you usually would play on turn 1 is Nightcrawler. Play him. I always play him into unrevealed locations. Always, always, always. Just because it is a card that you can move at any point, and if it's just a bad location for Nightcrawler, you just get him out of there.
Yeah, and man, that just brings back beta memories. When every turn 1 was playing Nightcrawler to the far right location.
Yeah, yep. But there are a few other times. I don't think we can go over every possible scenario, but a lot of things always depend on the deck that you're playing, I think. But also, say for instance, I have a couple 1-drops in my hand, and my deck isn't set up to play anything else until turn 3 or 4. If Crimson, whatever it is, comes out and I can't play my 1, 2, or 3 into that location, I might go ahead and play my 1-drops into the other locations and just take the chance, because I can't play them out anyways, in that turn 1.
Right. So, like, if you're blocked off in turn 1, you want to, like, the first location revealed, you can't play cards to, or it's an account, it's a location you don't want to play cards to. you might want to just take the risk and just throw it down in the middle or the far right location just to get an efficient play.
Right.
Now, here's another thing I've been thinking about. Got my brain turning here. Something that is kind of an underrated thing is initiative or priority, or whoever's name is highlighted, whoever's cards are going to be revealed first. Um, Early in the game, if you can capture priority, that might be your path to victory. That might be the only way that you can beat your opponent's deck, by getting that Cosmo down before they flip their venom. And by playing to an unrevealed location, you can get a a lead in the power. So let's say someone played Quicksilver on the left location. Your opponent played Quicksilver. It's a 2 power, and then you're on, and you also played Quicksilver. So you're tied on the left location. You might want to go ahead and throw something down on turn 2 on the far right location to try and get yourself a lead over your opponent, who might be trying to either match you at the revealed location or play to the other one. Depending on the situation, it could give you a leg up in the initiative race.
Yeah, no, and also playing, Rocket hasn't seen a ton of play. I know, back when we were playing in the beta and it was only, pool one players, pool two players, Rocket was played quite a bit. And that's another time where you can kind of like, ooh, if I think they're gonna play, Rocket to this revealed location, I'm gonna actually play to a different location. And
Yeah, playing around all the Guardians.
yep. So there are times, there are scenarios that I think it's okay for the most part though. And I think that just a general rule, you probably don't want to play to an unrevealed location. Because knowledge is power. And that's why, Owatu is actually an okay card. I don't run him I don't think I played him at all, maybe, but if he's in your hand, you get to see all the locations basically before they're revealed. So that helps you know, like, is it okay to go ahead and play multiple cards to this location, or do I want to stay away from it because it's bar with no name and I don't want any power there at all?
Sure. Now, here's another thing that I thought about. Right now, we're going through the seasons, and the featured locations for the most part are the new locations. I envision a future where we start seeing stuff pop up that are just normal locations being featured more. Um, it, like something like the Danger Room, or is Nowhere. Do cards get destroyed when you play them there? Is that what Nowhere does?
That's the one that uh, the unrevealed does not happen. They switched that up a couple seasons ago. Remember, Death's
Oh,
Domain?
yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. So if it's Death's Domain or Nowhere, maybe you've got an on-reveal effect that you want to pop, and you know that you want to get it off, and the hot location is a location that either you can't play to, or a location that will stop what you're doing. Maybe playing to an unrevealed location is something that you're going to want to do to try and sneak a card into a location that cards can't be played at, or get that on reveal ability before it flips and you can't get any more on reveal abilities. So I think that might come into play down the line.
No, and that was a strategy that I utilized when Oscorp Tower was a featured location. Um, if on turn two it hasn't been revealed yet and I had Hood in my hand, I would play it to that unrevealed location, hoping that it was going to be Oscorp Tower so that Hood would then go over to my opponent's side.
Yes, perfect example. Totally.
So yeah, there are times, but Mark, I would just suggest, until you know your deck and know your card interactions and how well your deck can handle, if a bad location does come up from playing there, I would just suggest not playing into unrevealed locations. Uh, because there are just so many negative outcomes that could happen. Um, that is hard to mitigate. If it's space thrown, that is one of the worst ones to, you played there and all of a sudden you cannot play there at all. So you have no way of changing it up. You have no way of, doing anything with that location, except for maybe a destroyer, but that's going to be too little too late.
Right. So if you have to play to unrevealed locations or never play to unrevealed locations, if you're forced to choose, then I guess choosing never playing to unrevealed locations is the move.
Yes. No, if you told me that's my only choices, I would not play to an unrevealed location.
Nice. Wow, that's awesome. Thanks for the question. That's it's so great that people are getting stuff out of our content and they want to engage with us. So that just means the world to me. And again, like Sterling said, if you're listening now, feel free to drop us a comment, send us a message. We'd love to answer more questions. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate hearing from our listeners. So, but with that, I think we are going to wrap up this episode. AJ, it has been awesome talking to you. Always enjoy our conversations and how both of us actually have, some different opinions. So it's good to be able to discuss in friendly manners both of our opinions and, not be mad with each other, not try and force one opinion on the other. We have good topics, good conversations, and I enjoy it.
Same, brother. It's always a pleasure. And, just thanks again to the listeners. You guys out there, we're building this community and things are really catching on for us. So we appreciate all the love and support.
Definitely. So thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Peace.